Well, good day to you. It is October the 24th. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are. My name is Gary Willing, and as always, I want to welcome you to Search for Signs. And just point out if you're new, remind you if you have heard these videos before and haven't taken the opportunity to do this yet, that if you want to know more about Maitreya and the Masters of Wisdom, about the priorities of the teacher, and what does it mean for humanity that Maitreya and these masters are coming back into the everyday world, perhaps, or even if you want to see if there's any truth to this for yourself, investigate it for yourself. I've included links in the description portion of every one of these videos that will hopefully make it a little bit easier to do just that. If you want to know more about Maitreya and the Masters of Wisdom and you really want to just kind of don't know where to start, but you want to go to one spot and that's it, I would definitely recommend the Share International site first. That's the link at the very top. Hopefully you'll do it. It's free. Every one of those websites are totally free. They're there for you whenever you want to look into it. If you want to join the discussion, you can post comments. You can post your questions in the comments section or email me at searchforsigns@mail.com. And as always, too, I want to thank everybody who has commented or asked questions since the last time I put a video up. All right, so let's get on into it here. Let's see. Robert Vasquez, in response to a message to one of Ben's Master's articles, I put up a Master Speaks. His name is love. He said, these messages by Lord Maitreya are more relevant now than it was first given back in the 70s. This was the intention, I believe, as things are starting to heat up. Thank you so much for the comment, Robert. Now, I wanted to say this too, just as a point of clarification, that the Master Speaks articles that I'm reading are not messages from Maitreya. They are coming from Ben's Master, and they are articles that anybody can read that were published and compiled they were published in Share International magazine on a monthly basis, and they are compiled in the book A Master Speaks Volume 1 and Volume 2. And I started at Article 1, and I'm going to go all the way through and just kind of record them for everybody. Now, it is better to read them for yourself, for one thing, and two, I was just going to say this. If you read Maitreya's messages, okay, which you can also get to that are in a book that Share International publishes, the messages from Maitreya the Christ. But you can also listen to the audio versions of that online too, I think on the Share International site. When he overshadowed Ben during talks that he gave in the late 70s and early 80s. But anyway, they're a tad bit broader as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? And they're wonderful to listen to, you know, and I know my heart opens up every time I hear it. But if you want to know about the masters, how they are going to be teaching humanity, the wisdom that they will be giving to humanity, the best, I think, and I'm not trying to compare the two, so please don't take it like that, Maitreya or Ben's Master, or you guys or whatever. I'm just kidding. But I think the easiest and the best way to do it is to read Ben's Master's articles for several reasons. You know, they're simple to read. He talks about a wide variety of subjects, and they're right in line with Maitreya's intentions and his purpose and his priorities too. So you're not getting it different in that regard. It's just Maitreya's messages are broader, and I think they're broader in scope. You know, but Ben's Master's articles, I think you get such a clear picture of the wisdom of these masters, the simplicity of how they'll be teaching humanity, how simple their teachings will be. They're quite extraordinary, but also too, if you understand the context of what he was speaking about, okay, and take yourself to that time and then look at it historically, how it played out, you'll see a lot of times, if not all the time, what he said was going to happen happened, you know. And so, like, for instance, I remember in the early 2000s, right after 9/11, when the Bush administration was starting to make their intentions known that they were going to go into Iraq and attack Iraq. They needed an alibi. And they said that they knew they had specific, conclusive intelligence that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. That's why they wanted to go in there. You would be hard-pressed at that time to find any politician on the national scene, any, political pundit, any journalist that would have contradicted that information to be honest. If you remember, I mean, it was insane how popular that view was. It wasn't right down the middle. It was probably 85 to 90% of the people in my life and the people that I saw on the news believed that he had weapons of mass destruction, that we should go in there. And some of the most liberal left-wing, members of Congress voted to go into Iraq willingly because it was so popular. Now they've kind of started to sing a different tune, but they voted on it. Joe Biden was one of them. He voted to go into Iraq. Hillary Clinton was another one, voted to go into Iraq. Ben's master said that was all a lie at the time. And I remember quoting him to people in my life, and they were horrified that I would even say something like that. Well, yada, yada, yada. Some years after that, it came out to be true that the Bush administration lied. They were never convicted of any war crimes or anything like that. They were never impeached or held accountable for lying to the American people and getting us into an unjust war, killing millions of people that were totally innocent. Never had to see their day in court for that, right? But Ben's master said a long time before that was a lie. So if you go back and read some of these things, you'd be like, wow. And you can kind of see how it's connected, and the connecting of the dots and so forth. But, and even how he talks about joy. One of the things that I think is the most memorable thing that I've ever read from his articles is when he said, fear and joy are equally infectious. It infects people. Your joy infects people. Your fear infects people. And he also went on to say, we don't know how far out our thoughts go before they come back to us. So if you're putting out harmful hatred thoughts of violence, thoughts of fear, it goes out into the cosmos and comes right back and does all this harm to the people around you and people you don't even realize, and before you have to deal with all the repercussions of that. Cause and effect. But then the flip side is true too. You put out hope and creative thoughts and loving thoughts. Well, that comes back to you too as what? Creative, loving, and hopeful thoughts. You know what I mean? Couldn't be simpler, as Ben used to always say. But the one thing I wanted to say, and I think this does kind of pertain, Robert, to what you were saying about how they're just as relevant or more relevant today than they were back in the 70s. Listen to this. Read this. I'm going to read this bit of this article from Ben's master, The Missing Link. Excuse me, I coughed. And it was written in February of 2002. But you can have it pertain to what's been going on in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia, between Israel and Palestine, between the political divisions here in the United States and around the world, and some of the other crises that we are facing, even the environment. But listen to this. This is such a hopeful look and message here. Inch by inch, humanity is nearing its readiness for decision. Events are forcing governments to seek new answers to the vexing problems which today defy resolution. More and more, they are hearing new voices with new and varied ideas which advocate an entirely different approach to their dilemma. The thought form of the new direction of human thinking and action is gradually taking hold. This being so, despite the present chaos, it augurs well for the future. The nations are finding that the old methods and mechanisms no longer work, that crisis after crisis undoes all forward movement, while the cries and demands of the poor become ever more persistent and loud. Slowly but surely, the necessity to share begins to dawn on the minds of many. Soon this concept will register powerfully on the consciousness of the race, and in due course will be established as the missing link in men's thinking. Couldn't be simpler, as Ben said. But if you look at what's going on in Israel, right? Everybody's up in arms about this, and so many people that I've talked to in my life are very scared, rightfully so, of the potential and the possibility of what could and the outcome of what could happen if violence really does just explode in that region, right? The danger that it could do, the harm that it could do, not only there but around the world and so forth. And this is what Maitreya has always said that within the seed of any conflict, and this is no different than it is in Ukraine as it was in Iraq or anywhere else in the world, when we went in there to attack them and so forth, any conflict, no matter how big or how small, but between nations or within a nation, could escalate to the point where other nations are involved, and then all nations are involved, and it will become nuclear and end all life on this planet. That's why he said that without sharing there will be no peace. Without peace there will be no future. Without sharing there will be no justice. Excuse me. Without justice there will be no peace, and without peace there will be no future. So if we don't try the principle of sharing, just like in this article where he talked about the missing link, it's the missing link between our aspiration and reality, you know what I'm saying, is sharing. And Ben's Master said in nearly every article when he talks about sharing, how sharing is really, it's within the hearts of all of us. That's what we want. Everybody wants justice. Everybody wants peace. The problem is that our leaders, our government leaders and our corporate donors and so forth don't care about that. But the people want peace. We're ahead of the governments in the world. And if you look at what's going on in the Middle East with a little bit of hope, right? And I know it's hard to do, but if you look at it, you see thousands upon thousands of people marching for peace. Thousands. Jews marching for Palestinians' freedom and justice. It's insane. Russians marching, in the streets of Russia for peace in Ukraine. These are the signs that we've been waiting for, actually. The signs of the Christ nature starting to open up within the hearts of humanity because of Maitreya in the world. This is what we needed to see. And as dangerous as this conflict is in the Middle East and in Ukraine, if you look, you also see the hope for humanity. In the people's voice getting louder and louder and louder for peace. They're marching for peace. I have not seen any videos of thousands of people in Israel marching for more war. They see the injustice in what the Israelis were doing to the Palestinians for decades. They're seeing it, and they're marching for them. And I'm not condoning what Hamas did, and any more than I'm condoning what the Zionist government of Israel is doing to the Palestinians. But just as the people of Iraq were innocent of any crime, but yet were killed unjustly by the United States 20 years ago, and Ben's Master was saying that there was all lies that got us into that. He has also said that what the Israelis are doing to the Palestinians for decades is totally unjust. The crime against humanity that they've been doing for decades and getting away with it, getting the support of nations like the United States and so forth, it's a crime. But within the hearts of all these people who are marching for peace, they want justice, but they don't understand that the missing link is sharing. It's sharing of the resources of the world that will end all conflicts on this planet. Almost overnight, according to Ben's Master. End poverty and starvation nearly overnight too. We have within us the power to do this. I screwed it up the first time, I'll say it right this time. Without sharing, there will be no justice. Without justice, there will be no peace. And without peace, there will be no future. That's coming right from Maitreya. Couldn't be simpler, as Ben used to say. I love you guys. You guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, but also keep your hearts full of hope for the future. We got a great future ahead of us, but we have to do it together. I love you guys. Have a great day. Remember to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.